I know everybody's so busy and everybody wants to get outside as quick as possible to breathe in that lovely last breath of summer. And so I'm trying to move things along. I see that we have it's Ron, Julie, and Renee visually, and you can speak up at any time. So we have a quorum, and Neil's here in person, and Eleanor's not feeling too well today. So welcome. First thing I'd like to do is ask for approval of the May 7th, 2025 minutes. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Julie. Second? Neil, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Got a few introductions here. And first I'm going to introduce Mary Rose Dwyer. She's Shelley's right-hand person.
Yes.
She is like in the, how would I say, the passenger seat or sometimes the driver's seat. And
Yeah.
welcome, have fun, and you're in a wonderful spot. You're in the 9th floor, and you have such a wonderful person to work for, and a total dynamo. And I know you're going to enjoy it. So thank you. We have Scott Klein, who's been here before, but now he's with us as the vice president, and he's here at this meeting, but he's also part of the cabinet as well, and he runs the operations, right? Physical, everything, right?
Everything.
Leaky problem, guess who you call?
Whatever.
And so welcome, and I know you love the campus, and it's a beautiful campus, and as I told you before the meeting, I looked at something, they give me something like 15 years ago. So I can date myself 40 years being involved in the college. 40 years ago, it did not look like a campus, Ron. It was just a hodgepodge of buildings out there. And I remember when they just started to talk about putting everything with some order and beautification. And it's amazing how it's progressed. And so you're going to be the steward of that wonderful creation. And I wish you well. And so I want to say welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have another new member here. We have Pamela Burrell. He's the new Student Association president. But we welcome your participation. And President Wheeler said that I'm sorry.
It's so good.
If there's any problems, he's just going to hand them off to you. Because your job, number one, is to keep, those students who don't have any complaints, they're all so damn happy about everything. They don't want to dissent and don't want to criticize, but were there to be any, please just accept them openly, okay? And we welcome your participation, vote, everything. And now are you a political science major? What's your major?
I'm a history major and a political science minor, yes.
Okay, and where do you hail from?
I am from Nepal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you come directly to New Paltz?
I had to go to Missouri for a year for my visa,
Great.
for my visa purposes and all kind of stuff. And then I moved to.
Okay, so we're very sorry about how minuscule our mountains are. There is some elevation.
You're an Ulster grad.
Yes,
He's an Ulster grad.
yes.
Oh, you went to 2 years? Okay, so I'm involved in Ulster too. Well, not really, but there's an event a couple of weeks ago. There's a graduate there, as do some of my law partners, the first 2 years, and then you springboard right here. And they work together. And it's really valuable assets for Ulster County. We hope you like the county, hope you like Stone Ridge, and now it's come over to New Paltz.
Yes, I love it
Okay,
here.
so welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, oh yes, it's at SUNY Ulster. It was Ulster County Community College when it started, in my old neighborhood, 1965. Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask the president to give his report.
And include the other thing we talked about.
Yeah, I would like to, because we're going to talk about the strategic plan, but then probably good to just give a little teaser on that. Okay.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. And it's great to see my colleagues on the screen. Julie, you're so engaged. I love it. You're nodding your head in affirmation. Renee, I love the background. Abe, you need to share whatever you're eating because it's making you smile. And Ron looks like he's working so hard, but I must say the lighting behind you looks like a theatrical setting from a prison setting, but the way the bars are coming across, I don't know if they have you locked in your office for duration, but
You weren't supposed to reveal that, President Wheeler.
all right. Well, wonderful. Glad to be here. And I just want to say I'm accomplished. In addition, he was the president of the Student Association at SUNY Ulster and became president here.
Uh-oh.
And then an odd thing I don't think I've shared with anybody. When I was at Loyola Chicago, my graduate assistant was also from Nepal. And then when we got together, what's the likelihood of, and then we were able to connect them together so that they could share experiences of having survived me. All right. Okay. So I don't know if everyone had an opportunity to participate in the State of the University address, which was held on the 22nd of August. The entirety, when you're bored and about to fall asleep or have trouble falling asleep, please look at it. It will enable you to get to sleepy land or make you drink. I won't go over everything there, but since it's been within the last month, it still holds true. It was an exciting set of accomplishments last year. We highlighted some of the successes from each of the divisions, and the vice presidents have been doing a great amount of work across the entire spectrum. The summer is, as you know, when people say, how was your summer vacation? That is a misnomer. That is not vacation for administrators here. They keep the place going and there's tons of planning. While we haven't reached census date, we did on open house welcome more than 1,100 new students. I looked to Stella Turk from admissions and enrollment and Kathleen Lieblich. And the other thing is Kathleen is sitting for two. She's going to be a mommy in the family in this early spring or late winter. So congratulations. Nobody knows her husband's name because everybody knows the dog's name is what she'll tell you. So you and Brendan.
It's real.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And Steve.
Yes. And Steve, right. Enrollment management and then as you already commented on Scott and the work that he's doing in operations. Michelle, as we all know, she's in her last several months here. The rumor is she submitted her intent to retire from her current position. We'll miss her, but we're going to milk every bit of financial etiquette and content we can from the work she's doing. Shelley, as you will see shortly, she and her team have been doing an outstanding job, everything communication and marketing for us. The backbone of everything we do, human resources, the management of our people. And so like you said to Kamish, it's so easy to manage people on a collegiate campus. They agree to do everything on a timely way. You never have to, that was that stuff I told you, read my notes. We'll put it's a fairy tale land. No, it's hard work, and their team does a great job. Bill's been leading a very strong set of activities in our academic portfolio review, which is essential because we need to be able to assure that what we say we're delivering for our academic content, we're actually delivering. So, and then Jonathan and Erica are here as a team because, as you all know, again, a slight rumor is that Erica might be having remorse feelings because she's not included in future fabulous meeting plans at this point. And look at that smile. We also welcome Erica back from doing some very important work over in Ireland for family and remembering that we all miss Dan and wish you the best as you go forward. So those are, really the highlights. We've had a couple of events where Kamish and I did the convocation together. That was wonderful. Yesterday, we did the grand opening of the ballroom. So if you haven't seen in the student union, the ballroom and the third floor, you're talking about Julie and Abe, please, next time you're over here, you must see them and tell me if you think they've transformed. Renee, if you are going to be here anytime in October, which we hope you will be here, you will be so impressed. The places for students to engage in that space is just, it speaks class, everything they did. And so it's just absolutely gorgeous. We have actually other ribbon cuttings coming up very soon. So now on to the strategic plan. Now, the topic of the strategic plan and why you received the note you did for me is it is not in the purview of the council to approve the plan, but earlier this year, you endorsed our work on the mission statement. Throughout the year, you've heard about the strategic plan. You've been tapped undoubtedly by the consultants. You may have participated in working groups. And we really wanted you to have the first shot at seeing it and to continue to give me, the university, your thumbs up of endorsement, because this plan does reflect more than 1,250 hands that have touched it over the course of the year. It has culminated in, and you won't get a copy of this because it's not off the presses yet. These are developmental copies of it, but it is phenomenal, and it centers on this one thing for me: the ideal student experience. One of the things I challenge us to do in our strategic plan was recenter the student and make everything about how we bring students in from point of first contact through completion and launching their career. So this plan is really about that. You will see, and as you know, I keep the mission statement in the front of my notebook. Until we finish, maybe even today, I'll change. I'm almost out of pages here. So I've been holding them, hoping I could switch to the new notebook with the new mission statement. But this mission statement was clearly written by collaborative academic colleagues. It is verbose and it has everything in the kitchen sink. This is our new mission statement. And it reads very clearly: SUNY New Paltz provides a transformative education that advances personal growth, lifelong achievement, and civic engagement. Our vision statement reads: a leader in public higher education, championing a future grounded in justice and sustainability. It follows with the identification of our core values. And I should say September 25th, 1 week from today, we have the launch of the strategic plan, and that's when all of this stuff goes live. So only one more week and everything here will go live. Shelley and her team are making magic of this to make sure that everything from the website, our sites that are going to push this out, and our collateral, which we'll share with some of you in just a minute, including about 200 of the hard copy books in their final print. So those of you who would like a hard copy at the council table, you will be able to receive a hard copy, but they will live in all of their beauty on the website. The plan has 5 strategic areas. The first is educational innovation and purpose. The second is governance, culture, and accountability. I was adamant that we had the word accountability in here somewhere. The third is career and workforce alignment. The fourth is inclusive excellence and belonging. And the fifth is community engagement and economic development. All strategic areas that support the ideal student experience. Under each strategic area are measurable objectives. I won't bore you with the reading of those, but they highlight the best thinking of 1,200 people, how we get to those strategic areas, and then how those strategic areas feed the ideal student experience, are consistent with our values, and drive our mission. So everything is aligned. Once this plan is launched, the idea is over the 3 years of its life, we will measure on a regular basis and report on our dashboard the KPIs, the key performance indicators aligned with the objectives and how they're feeding into the strategic vision. So this will be a living document. It will not sit on the shelf. I will be accountable. The vice presidents each have domains that they're responsible for. The objective leads, and there's 70 there's a lot of objective leads. It's like 30 or 40 objective leads, and then those leads will have people working with them. So hundreds of people will be involved in the actual administration and monitoring of the objectives, but thousands of people will be involved in the work: students, faculty, staff, community, because this touches many sectors. So if you don't mind, those of you in the room outside of the room won't get the same view, but I'd ask Shelley to share a couple of the collaterals that we've created to support this. Maybe we can walk it down here after we're done at the end of the meeting. But we have multiple banners that will be up and around the campus that highlight our strategic plan. The title of the plan is Living Our Future Together. And what you're not seeing on the screen is this particular step and repeat lists the core values. And our core values are academic excellence, belonging, social responsibility, civic engagement, inquisitive exploration, accountability, and commitment as our core values. So on the step and repeat, there'll be one with vision. There's one, what else, Shelley?
I'm sorry. Oh, the banners?
Yeah.
We have one that has the mission and vision statement, and then we have one for each of the 5 strategic priorities.
Right. So these can, and we have it set up, if I'm not mistaken, Shelley, that we can reproduce these or divisions can
Yes.
allocate funds to have them in each of the schools. I'm interested in potentially having some of the hanging banners around campus. 2 years ago, when I was sharing a site visit at another institution over in Maryland, they had just launched their plan and it was everywhere. It was the banner, it was the community. People knew it was vibrant, real, and asked questions about it. And I really want us to do that. And then finally, for those who can come in person, what do you got for them on next Wednesday?
Some bookmarks.
Some bookmarks with the strategic plan elements on it to remind people what the strategic plan is. Erica, were you about to say something?
No, I think it's wonderful, actually.
So
It's very impressive.
So a lot of work has gone into it. It's been very thoughtful. It's a community plan. I'm enthused about it. I really think that a 3-year time frame is right in this contemporary period because 5-year plans are obsolete before they even get through the second year. And so this plan itself is anchored at looking at our internal structures that allow us to create a stronger foundation for the ideal student experience in 2.5, 3 years. When we look at what we've done, then we can do the next future plan that looks at where you grow beyond having built a stronger foundation. To me, I liken it to building a house or remodeling, not even building, refurbishing a house that the plumbing and electricity needs to work before you go to create the facade, because if you pull the button and the garage door doesn't go up, but the water faucets come on, that's a problem. We need to make sure that that's not happening, and that's why this plan is focused internally. So I hope after you hear that, you're enthused, you're jazzed up. I want to say thank you for all the work you've put into it and the review. Eli, anything else from me on this?
Well, all I can say is thank you and wow. It's really focusing, taking the mission statement and then focusing with literally a strategic plan, a strategy that is really meaningful, not just words, and it gives a game plan. And you're to be applauded with recognizing how to bring it to make sure it is effective. The shorter time period, not meaner, but leaner, and they really kind of get it. And I'm really, I'm impressed. And I'm always impressed with your leadership as well as your team, but this really says it all. And it's forward thinking, it's practical, it's also visual, and people are visual, they'll actually look away from their phones and catch the banner and it'll have some effect. And sometimes the effect isn't immediate, it's subliminal, but it's over the time period of the strategic plan, it will be effective. And the areas are pretty inclusive, everything from, student focus, but also recognizing the community. And so it's a really broad-based, but focused. And it's not easy to do. Often the broader it gets, the more diluted it is, but it is not diluted. And so I'm really impressed by it. And does anybody else have any comments?
Do these walk or do they stay? They stay.
Yeah.
Okay, you can touch them.
Yeah.
Counting them. I'm only giving. You may touch them.
And I thought, when, because, I'm going to ask, of course, to have a motion to endorse, but I just thought, what do you do? Just give a little teaser or do you give a little more information? So it's a hard balance to accomplish the objective to get endorsement, but people have to be informed to an extent, right? And so I think it was well said and well put by your summarization. And I kind of get the meat and the bones, the actual document, which is going to be launched next week, but also the banners that we can see it. So I say it's realistic and really forward thinking. So I want to thank you. And I want to thank all those who participated. There were so many people had their hands on it, but instead of it being diluted and hodgepodge and slapped together, it seems like it's really focused and hits right where it's supposed to be, the future for the institution and most importantly for the students. And so I thank you. And I thank you again for your leadership. And I think I'm going to ask for an endorsement now. Could I hear a motion endorsing the strategic plan?
So moved.
Thank you, Julie. Second? Neil, thank you. All in favor? Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Opposed? All right, that's what I want to hear.
Unanimity. Oh, thank you. There's no dissent.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. What's next? This I can't, I think there's a mistake on the agenda. It says something about Erica Mark leaving.
Yeah, mistake.
And it's only like, not yet, not yet. So there's no pause button. Of course, we want to recognize. Oh, my God. No. She's got orange and blue in her veins. So she may like be moving out of the vice presidency, but she's not gonna, she can't, it's in your DNA now, orange and blue, favorite colors. And so, we're so grateful. And I think there's something that Shelley was going to read as part of our proclamation.
Okay. So a resolution.
Hold the prop.
A resolution of appreciation for Erica Marks. Whereas Erica Marks has provided exemplary service to the SUNY New Paltz Council in her ex officio role as Vice President for Development and Alumni Relations and Executive Director of the SUNY New Paltz Foundation since 2013. And whereas she presided over a transformative era for alumni engagement and the culture of philanthropy at SUNY New Paltz, helping to create deep and lasting benefits for students today and into the future. And whereas the university's endowment grew from $13 million to $48 million during her tenure, and she was instrumental in securing the largest single gift in campus history, a $6.37 million contribution that created the Science of Reading Center at SUNY New Paltz, which has provided literacy-based professional development for tens of thousands of educators in New York and beyond. That and other successes prompted several more gifts of $1 million, the first gifts of such size from living individuals. And whereas she led SUNY New Paltz's first ever comprehensive campaign, Soaring Higher, which ultimately raised more than $24.7 million in philanthropic support. And she initiated the university's second campaign, Beyond the Ridge, which will launch publicly in the near future. And whereas the value of student scholarships awarded has increased from $276,000 in fiscal year 2014 to more than $1.1 million awarded in fiscal year 2025. These donor-supported scholarships create opportunities for enriching learning experiences that would not have been available to students otherwise. In many cases, through programs like the Crossing the Finish Line Fund, these awards have made the difference in students' ability to successfully complete their degrees. And whereas the impact of donations and the philanthropic infrastructure built by Marks with the partnership of her staff, the foundation board, campaign cabinets, can be seen across campus in academic departments, athletics, the Samuel Dorsky Museum of Art, and the Hudson Valley Additive Manufacturing Center. And whereas she created the Alumni Council, replacing the Alumni Association as the primary body that interacts with the university on behalf of 88,000 living alumni, and launched new initiatives to strengthen ties between alumni, students, community stakeholders, and the institution, including the Women's Leadership Summit, 40 Under 40, and the Hudson Valley Future Summit. And whereas Erica Marks will retire from the university effective September 26, 2025, and whereas this council is desirous of recognizing her and thanking her for her 12 years of dedication and leadership to the university and the work of the council, therefore, be it resolved that this council pay special tribute to Erica Marks, and be it further resolved that these preambles and resolutions be entered upon the minutes of the council and a copy thereof be presented to her.
Now, before I offer Erica, I was a bit personally, a little about me. Ken Berta, the first one in development. I was there before Ken Berta became the person for development and later vice president. And so I've seen it all over 4 years. You are incomparable. Your love and enthusiasm and smile, boundless. And just a whole new level. And it was a commitment, it was love. And love what you do. And we, all the campus, the college, the community has benefited in so many ways. There's numbers on here, doesn't come close to the commitment you've given and how you've given from your heart and how you've given to so many people, made things so much better. You made people better, not just the beneficiaries of the contribution, but you made donors better. You made them feel better about themselves. You gave them the opportunity and the avenue to do good. And you did it with a heartfelt commitment. Every day, that's who you are. And we are so grateful. I can't put it anyway. I'm personally grateful, and everybody here is grateful. And there's unknown students out there in the world that are grateful, and faculty members as well. And administration, you were it beyond imagination. I mean it. And I've seen each one over time from, for 40 years and incomparable. Jonathan or whoever succeeds, I feel for them. Because you're one of a kind.
My secret weapon.
I get that. But I know that you're just boundless in your enthusiasm. And everybody knows that.
Thank you,
And
Eli.
we don't want you to go. And I can't say my heart's broken, but I'm upset. And as are a lot of other people.
But I'm tired, Eli.
So you just have to rejuvenate. And so I want to thank you personally and on behalf of the council, behalf of the institution. Thank you very, 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 very much for all you've done for so many people. And it's appreciated, even if, it's appreciated. And I know it was a 24/7 commitment. It's who you are. And it fits you perfectly, and the orange and blue benefited. Thank you.
You haven't even seen.
Now to ask for a proclamation. Can I hear a motion? Any motion?
Make a motion.
Neil, second? Move that the proclamation be given?
Thank
We got it. All in favor? Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
There you go, Erica.
Thank you so much, everyone. I just wanted to say one thing, which was that it's really moving seeing these core 6 values, because when I started here 12 years ago, I started because of the values of this place, and they hadn't been articulated this clearly. But to see them articulated is a real, here at the end of my 10 years, a real fulfillment of the reason why I came here. So glad to see this going forward. That will be inspiring to everybody else. So thank you. Thank you for this. I'm kind of a little bit moved here.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Uh-oh, sure.
Is there anything that prevents us from locking her into her office?
I think it doesn't. Look at the HR person. No, I don't want to hear this.
There might be some policy about that. I think it doesn't log, actually. That's part of the problem. So. Thank you. I live in Kingston. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here and I love this place. So I invite friendship and occasional advice giving. And if you want to do a nice dance together, you can call on me. But thank you, everyone. It's I can't imagine a better group of leaders to work with. And my team, which will be led by Jonathan, it is really my secret sauce is really the people that I work with. And of course, really a joy to know that you've helped even one student. So thank you. And it's been pretty fabulous working with you these last few years. Tough, but I have no complaints. So thank you.
I'm sure there are lots of complaints, but
No, actually,
the
no.
goals are always, yeah.
No real complaints. So,
And Erica, I know it's not easy. It's not, you made it look easy.
wow.
And it's not. It's every day and, just granular right to the big.
This should just say follow-up queen. That's all. But thank you. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Now I'm going to ask Scott to give us a little bit update about how things are here.
Sure.
Books, pass them back.
Be serious about these books, y'all.
Can everyone see the construction of these slides?
Not hiding it under the tape.
Five.
Yes,
Go there.
there were 5, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. So my second favorite topic is construction. So here to talk about that. So President Wheeler noted that sometimes when you push the garage door open or water comes out of the faucet. I've reviewed all of these projects in the last minute. None of them have a garage door opener. Good.
That doesn't mean water won't.
Okay. Completed construction. So we talked about the student union finishing. So that's the picture there on the slide is the student union. It frankly doesn't do it justice. So go over there and see it in real life.
Yeah.
While you're there, the ballroom's on the second floor. Take a look at the student spaces on the third floor. So that's a place for the student clubs to exist, students to do student things. So another fantastic place. Bliss Hall Phase 2 also finished this summer. So that was the second round of bathroom renovations, as well as finishing off the fire sprinkler installation. We'll work on Phase 3 next summer, and that should finish off the building. Mohonk Hall also reopened this fall in time for fall semester. So that was a gut rehab of the 1960s Res Hall. We added the 4th floor, which was about 70 beds. Ribbon cutting for that is 1 p.m. on October 22nd. So if you're in the area, stop by. We'd love to have you. All right, so Gage Hall. So this project is under construction now. So this one, we're getting into the bathrooms like we did for Bliss. Construction started in May as soon as graduation was over, and we're on track to finish for December of 25, ready for students in 26. Key issues there really is finishing that construction on time. So there's a couple domino projects that are lined up behind that if this project is delayed, those projects also get delayed. That's not what we're looking for. So on time, on budget is what we're after. Aragon Dining Hall. So this project is a gut rehab of the existing dining hall. The design should finish next week. So talk a little bit about the optimistic dates there. So that's not like best case scenario in the entire world. This is applying a bit of realism to it based on when we traditionally would see funding for these projects. If we're funded in some times, then we could start this project in January 27, finish it in January of 2030, ready for students in August of 2030. Please don't call me in like February of 27 and ask why we haven't started yet, unless we've started. So some key issues for this one, working through the project labor agreement, getting the temporary food service facilities in place so that when the funding comes down, we can start transitioning food service into those places. And frankly, is advocating for the money to be there when we're ready for the project. College Hall. So this one is in design as well. The design for this should finish next month. Again, an optimistic construction start January 27. Optimistic finish is January 31, ready for students and staff in August of 31. Key issues for that one, the storage building that allows this project to happen. That storage building project groundbreaking will be next week. No real ceremony because frankly, it's just a storage building, but I'm really excited about it. The other part that we're working similar to the dining hall is the swing space upgrades so that those spaces are ready to absorb the staff and the students when the funding hits. And then frankly, the funding advocacy for this one as well. For Elting Gym and Pool, so this one is also in design. This one should finish January of 26. Optimistic construction start is January of 28 with an optimistic finish of January of 31. Ready for students in August of 31. We're still looking through the swing space analysis to make sure that we can build this and still allow the gym spaces to operate. cost control is important. Every penny that we have to spend, we need to make sure we're using it wisely. And then again, advocating for funding for the project. For Student Health Center, so this project replaces the HVAC system. The design for this should finish next spring. Optimistic construction start is January of 28 with a finish of January of 29, or sorry, June of 29, ready for students August of 29. So one of the things for this one is we can't go without a student health center for an academic year. So we're going, part of this project installs a temporary trailer to provide those services for the school year. So that's my last slide. What questions can I answer?
Wow. Construction site,
Exciting.
some finished, but looks like you're doubling up on new
Absolutely.
rehab. Extremely impressive. And how, and of course, you don't know. Yeah, yes, Julie. Julie?
I think Renee had her hand up first, but you're the president, so it's up to you.
Can't hear.
Go for it, Julie.
Renee first.
Okay, Renee, I didn't see you first. Yeah, so you're first.
Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that.
I'm getting hearing aids next week, so.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
So I said thank you first to my colleague. I so appreciate that. One of the questions I have, it looks like I was looking at the dates and they seem to be all colliding. Is it going to be and cause a stretch for students on campus? Because it's already hard to be on campus and to do homework and work, etc. But construction causes fatigue. So I was looking at the dates. It said 2030 for several things and then 2031 for some other things, and they were concurrent. So I guess my question is, appreciating that there are other trailers and other things that are going to be happening, is there a way to look at that date differently? Because everything seems to be colliding around the same time, and that can cause some serious fatigue for students on campus. So that's a concern.
So I think we share that same concern. I think one of the opposite concerns that I have is we don't want to say no to the money when the money's there. So as I look at the projects, they're really in different areas of campus and they're impacting students differently. So they will all have temporary spaces to support those requirements while the construction projects are underway. But the reinvestment has to happen. I think ideally we wouldn't have all of them hitting at once, but I have about 40 non-res hall spaces. If I renovate every 40 years, each building every 40 years, that's starting one new construction project a year. If they last for 3 to 4 years, that's 3 to 4 projects underway at any given time. So that's probably where we should be trying to get to is 3 projects underway at once.
Totally. I totally agree. When they give in the money, you got to snatch it. So thank you for answering.
Scott, I just want to offer that particularly for, well, actually for all of the buildings, for Peregrine, because we thought it was going to go down last year, we started Food for Thought programming, and we started connecting with the community on campus-based food alternatives. That has resulted in a number of trucks being on campus and then optimizing some of the interesting spaces. So Yachty's Empanadas has opened up in a permanent space. It started off basically as a latchkey operation. One of our police officers has brought that truck gets lines out the doors. They specialize in dessert-based stuff, so I'm not a super sweets person, but there's always lines there. We have a new Indian food concept coming on board, and the school has purchased, Sodexo or CAS has purchased 2 food trucks. And is it CAS or Sodexo? CAS food trucks. So we're learning how to operate those. So the idea is you might find a food truck over in a space that wasn't available before as part of a campus engagement structure. And during the college Shango reconstruction, because that's ground up, we've been doing a lot of legwork with the community, with the alumni to make sure they're involved in the thinking and the design. This triggered an connection with the New York State Historic Preservation. And so there are elements of that we're required to preserve. And so there's been a whole process that we're doing. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for cultural community engagement in addition, so that hopefully to your point, the noise of the construction literally and figuratively goes to the background, and that people are doing stuff together to create the college of the future. That is going to be exciting. So like the food options and the connection. So yeah, we're going to try to build that in there and make it fun and not just an obstacle. Is it correct, folks?
Progress. And Julie, do you have anything to add?
Not to add, but I do have a question about
Sure.
the building renovations in general. So, one is I saw that one of the buildings was having an HVAC upgrade, but that just called to question all of the design for the rest of the buildings. And I just was curious what degree of, or what lens, if any, of renewable,
Great question.
construction is going on. So divestment of fossil fuels at all? Is decarbonization being discussed? Are renewables being discussed? Energy efficiency, across all buildings? Is that all kind of part of the boilerplate, or is that an afterthought, or where is that sit here? I mean, at the last meeting, we heard how, $500,000 a year are being spent on utilities. And so how are we able to take advantage of this and consider that moving forward?
So I think all of the new construction includes the requirements for green energy and decarbonization as part of the outset. They weren't bolted on later. They're part of the fabric of that building. So for College Hall, for Peregrine, and Elton, all three of those have ground-based, ground source heat pump pieces with it. So the geothermal side. The Student Health Center is air source heat pump. So we're getting after that side of it.
And how many geothermal projects are already underway?
So we have actually it's just these.
Okay.
But these are the first ones that we've started designing after the emphasis for decarbonization and.
Yeah.
Ready?
Where are we with the preservation of the mural in Shango? Whatever happened with that?
So the Historic Society, the New York State Historic Preservation, they've looked at it. We've all looked at it. There's no preservation of the physical component. Mm-hmm. There is digitization of it, and then what to do with the digitization will be part of the planning. So once we have that, we can figure out, because there's asbestos behind that. So there's no way of saving that at cost. It would cost us millions to even begin that process. So that's not going to happen. But there is an actual survey going out to alums, asking them their thoughts and thinking. So that's just the reality. If you recall, the first plan for College Shango, and the state was pretty adamant, was to build over the current footprint. But that building is, if I understood, built on 7 different levels through its piecing together over the years. So it's impossible to extract from the footprint any kind of useful building given what we actually need. So they agreed, and that's rare, to do a ground up rebuild. So we're benefiting from that. But the content and the culture of the content is critical. And the fact that New York State is involved in it, it becomes not an afterthought, but it's deeply entrenched. And so who knows, maybe elements of this will end up in the archives somewhere in New York State as well as on campus. But we are required to have some space in the building that recognizes the cultural historic legacy of the building.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
So regarding the parking lots, is there any chances in future like the parking lot would be extended, because there have been like issues of not having enough parking for the students and faculty, and also getting tickets and all kind of stuff? So
more tickets,
yeah,
money.
Yeah.
So I think we're always cognizant of the amount of parking that we have on campus. The construction, frankly, is going to take some of it as we do lay down yards and contractor parking and that sort of thing. Our challenge is partly where our parking lots are, and they're on the perimeters, which is a further walk than most people like to do. There's spaces out there. Putting parking closer in means that we're going to push buildings further out, and that's not realistic either. So
Smaller cars.
smaller cars.
What was that, really?
Yes.
Abolish cars.
Smaller cars. Well, abolish cars, but yeah, smaller cars. And
Kitty bikes.
And you speak with
Mopeds.
consistency, Thomas, right?
Yes.
Do you drive on campus?
No, I don't.
Okay, just asking.
Yeah,
It's a good representative of the student though, so yeah.
it's not for me, yeah.
It's personal problem.
No, I bike, it is, I love biking.
And you live close.
Yeah, I live 10 minutes.
And it's notable that some of the buildings, quite a few from the 1960s. So, and necessarily they'll be much more energy efficient, et cetera, and they're worn out and they have to be replaced. There's no way around it and it's not comfortable. But when are you going to do it? Now. And it's a long range. To you, it probably seems like a long range plan. To me, not so long. It's a few years. But it's necessary. And Scott, it looks like you're going to be really, really, really busy. Thanks. All good things. Thank you very much. Now I think we're going to, Michelle usually talks about MONEY, but we're not, how are we doing?
Let us see if I can do this time. No,
It's coming.
it's coming. But it's a long presentation. So-
It's there.
Back to-
Google.
Here.
Google. Okay. Yeah, stop it.
Stop sharing his and see if that lets you out.
Yeah, you have to stop sharing that. Yeah. And then it's down there under PowerPoint. There you go. To the right.
There we go. How many policy people in this? Okay.
Jerry.
I mean,
And now we see it, right? Okay, cool.
all right.
All right, so on today's docket, I'm gonna give you the usual update of the previous year wrap up. Talk about some cash balances and the current fiscal year. And then we're gonna move on to discuss the stability planning exercise that the campus is endeavoring in with SUNY System Administration. So last year, fiscal year 24-25 ended in June. In the beginning, if you'll recall, and Kamlesh, I know this is new to you. So if I do a little backtracking, I hope everybody gives me a little bit. In the beginning of the year, we always set out with some estimates of where we think we're going to be. We estimate what our tuition revenue and all the fees and rents will be, and we estimate what our expenditures will be. The two largest factors in our budget for revenue, it's tuition, it's students, it's enrollment. And on the expenditure side, it's the people that you see around this table and the other folks who work on campus. So we had plans that we were going to increase our revenue through enrollment, and we were going to reduce personnel expense to bring the budget into line. Unfortunately, the outcome of the budget was that we saw slower enrollment growth. We still saw growth, but it was slower than we anticipated. So that resulted in lower revenue. We also had a higher fill rate for vacant positions. So if you recall, coming out of the pandemic, we had what was called the Great Resignation, seen across the country and across the world. And so for a few years, we had a multitude of positions that were vacant. And that had a positive impact on the dollars because we saved money in personnel costs. But as people start to come back to the workforce, we're seeing a slower or an increased rate of vacancy savings, positions being filled, increased rate of hires. We also saw an increase in the utility pricing for this year. And we used one-time money, cash, to pay for repairs in the residence hall. So some of the stuff that Scott put up on the board with regard to residence halls, some of it's funded by bonds and some of it is funded by our own reserves. So this year, this past year, we used $9 million in that reserve for some of the smaller projects that we're Before I move on, I want to just talk about a couple of definitions. sometimes we slip into different terminology here, and it gets a little bit confusing. So when in budget terms, we talk about a deficit, there's a deficit and then there's a structural deficit. The difference between those two being that a deficit is any time your expenses are greater than your revenues. Okay, so in fiscal year, you have more money going out than you have coming in. A structural, but that can include one-time funds. A structural deficit is when the deficit's recurring over time, but it's from your normal operations. So there's no influence on that one-time project that we just talked about for $9 million. And another thing that we talk about a lot is reserves and cash balance. So a reserve is funding that's held for a special purpose. So when you think about your own home finances, you might be in a place where you're looking to buy a house. So every month you pack away some money and you put it aside so that you can put that down payment on your house. Or if you already own a house, you might be saving it for a rainy day. You know, what if the economy turns down and I lose my job? What am I going to do to pay my bills? So you pack away money specially for those contingencies, those what ifs. A cash balance is just when you have money left over from your paycheck after you paid the mortgage, right? Or paid for food. So it's just a cash balance. It's just recurring, rolling over, but it's not especially tucked away. So I like to have multiple savings accounts, and I have special savings accounts for the rainy days and then special for the whatevers, right? On campus, reserves and cash balance have kind of become conflated because the campus no longer has that special savings account. We no longer have an account where I pack the money away for a rainy day. Right now, we're surviving on cash balances that are filtered throughout the campus in different accounts that are set up for different purposes, but it still allows us to pay our bills, right? So when we use those definitions in context with what happened in fiscal year 24-25, the outcome of the year, the revenues versus the expenses, was that we had a $16 million deficit. We used $16 million of cash to balance the budget. But of that 16 million, 9 million was Scott's fault. So we're going to blame him. Yes, no. So 9 million was a planned, actually we planned it, was my fault. We planned it before Scott got on campus. We planned to use that $9 million to do some renovations in the residence place. And the $7 million that's left over from last year's deficit is what I consider to be our ongoing structural deficit, right? So we've got a $7 million hole to fill year over year. The wacky spreadsheet on the right, most of you are familiar with, is our cash balances for the last few years. Again, you know, there are different influences on our cash, and especially in the beginning of this particular graph was coming out of COVID-19. We saw an influx of one-time federal dollars, and then that was depleted. We saw enrollments dropping, and now they've come up. So it's quite a mess. I'm just going to move our friends on the screen for a second. What you can see over here on the right side of the graph is that the blue star indicates where we ended last fiscal year as far as our cash balance goes. So about $31 million. The gold or orange star up here is where we were the previous year. So the difference between showing you that we did have that $16 million gap. I'll move you guys back over. Assuming you guys are around and you don't even know. All right, so we'll go over again. Okay. So the reserve or the cash trend over time, like I just mentioned that we had a $31 million cash balance as of June 30th. The average draw on reserves, so the president gave me this question today, what's our average draw been on reserves over the last 10 years? So the average was about 4.5 million, but it's been growing. I'm gonna show you why in just a moment. Last year's structural deficit being $7 million. So if I were to take 7 million as our new ongoing structural deficit and divide it into that $31 million that we have remaining, that means we have 4 years of cash left before we run out. Or we're going to need to reduce the people that work on campus by about 200 FTE. Guys, if we do. Let's go forward to this current fiscal year. Fiscal year 25-26 and the stability plan that we're currently engaged in working with SUNY System Administration's leadership. Not giving you all the numbers, but just telling you about the incremental changes, what we have planned and what we know. So what we know is the outcome of the state budget saw that this campus was getting an increase in state taxpayer support of $2.5 million. So that's a good thing. We also know there's collective bargaining agreements for all of our collective bargaining units across campus. Those total about $3.4 million. So remember I said the deficit is growing? This is why. Although the state invested in SUNY last year to the tune of $2.5 million, which is wonderful, the collective bargaining increases outweigh that by nearly $1 million. So the deficit, if those were the only two things at play, would stretch again. However, we do have a reduced plan to use the one-time funding for Scott's projects. The reduction is $4 million. The positive impact on the annual budget will be $5 million. Then so those are the things that we know. Those are pretty solid. But then what we're projecting, this year's projection for enrollments, for tuition, fees, and rent, we hope to see a $2.7 million increase in revenues. And then we also are planning to make certain changes to reduce the reliance on personnel dollars by about $2.25 million. If all goes to plan, the end of the year, we will only need to use $7 million versus the 16 that we used last year. So that's in the right direction, but still we have a lot of work to do. So the future multi-year stability plan. We've talked about it in this room before. We are in the midst of providing SUNY System Administration with a 5-year plan for our budgeting. Some of the tenets of the plan, things that we have to do are, we have to have a balanced budget by 29-30. We can't rely on any promises of increased taxpayer support during those next few years. So we got money last year, but there's never any promise that we'll get it again next year. We also cannot assume that the Board of Trustees will allow SUNY to increase either tuition or fees. We are also using enrollment projections provided by SUNY System Administration. So while Stella's team has a lot of plans to aggressively pursue new students, we have to use some numbers that are generated outside of campus to formulate the plan. And we also, in the plan, have to account for collective bargaining increases, even though most of the collective bargaining agreements sunset next year, I believe. Yes. We have to anticipate that they will have similar agreements going forward. So those are all tough nuts to crack when you're trying to put together a plan to close a $7 million structural deficit. So what we've been doing is looking at things that we can control. What we can control is the creation of new programs that will positively influence enrollment and therefore revenue. We also are able to control our room rent on campus. And by control, I mean, we set the room rent. But if we set it too high, students aren't going to pay it. So we have to do a delicate dance with the much needed repair in the residence halls versus how many people we need to clean, maintain, work with the students, our police. So that is a very dicey budget, and it's actually, we have a 10-year plan for that budget. And we have to, that is a budget that is required to pay bonds on the residence hall repairs. So we actually have to prove that we can keep that budget solvent. So we have a 10-year plan that does that. But another thing that we can control too is the size of our workforce. Technology is not my turn. Okay. So.
Just put them lower.
I know.
Just put them.
I don't want to put them away in case they raise their hand. So going forward, again, the current stability plan, it does show us at a balanced budget for fiscal year 29-30. It's going to require a lot of hard work to get there. And we have to demonstrate the ability to align our expenses to our mission, to find opportunities to grow, and consistently monitor our progress toward our goals. Those are all going to be the three most important things, as every decision that we make on campus has to keep in mind the mission, the pillars, the strategic plan. And it's going to require a lot of hard work and working together, collaboration. Sorry, my brain just expired. So there is budget. What questions do we have? I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you all. Okay. Questions?
Is there digesting that? I just want to say that there's so much of this that's important. Michelle talked about over the decade, the use of the reserves. You know, those were probably strategic and critical in the moment. But at this moment in time, given where higher ed is, reliance on those, as you see, will deplete the reserves. And depleting the reserves means there's nothing to fall back on. Having 4 years of reserves and knowing that we have to have balanced budget by then, we're in a great position to be able to get to the balanced budget and to do the things that are in our planning to help us not to get to any kind of dire situation. Now, what that's going to mean for us is we have to monitor every position. Stella, admissions and enrollment, that is a driver for our #1 source of revenue. We have to look at not only new enrollments of traditional students, which is a demographic diminishing point, but we have to look at alternative student groups, returning adults, transfer students, students who want non-degree credentials, students who will remit at certain times. They want to do 1 year, step out. They're not going to look the same. That 25 to 50-year-old student, Stella's looking at those. We have to look at our criteria that we set. SUNY New Paltz has one of the most strident criteria amongst the SUNY comprehensives in terms of required GPA. And we're doing, under Stella's leadership, some work with what we call academic consideration students in last year's pilot. Those students who came in just under that 85, they're persisting at a rate, meaning they are retained at grade point average at a rate higher than the general student group. And when we looked at that number, for example, we had about 1,400 students who we just rejected because they didn't meet our criteria, and they sat somewhere between 80 and 84.9. And given what we saw with the academic considerations group, if we only got 140 of those 1,400 students, it would change our financial future. Then we have to look at retention. we have to look, we melt about 11% of our students annually. 11% of 1,100 is another 110 students. So why are we melting those students every semester? We have to look at what's going on in the academic sphere and the student services sphere for why students don't stay and persist. So enrollments are critical, diversification of our enrollment groups and retention. Doing that and securing 200 students a year over where we are now would change the financial trajectory. So when Michelle talks about the future, she's doing what I've asked her to do. Give us the most conservative narrative you can. Do not give us optimistic narratives that we don't meet. Give us things that we will exceed, that we know we can accomplish. And so when we look at, and she says even that there'd have to be a 200 FTE employee reduction over the course, that's only if we do nothing. If we don't improve, if we don't increase revenue, increasing revenue would get us there. And looking at the numbers that we're talking somewhere about going from 7,200 students to 8,000 students would change our financial model and put it in black. So it is quite doable, but it's not going to come without deep interior look at everything we do. Everything we do.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On the rents, are they like traditional rents and what's about the average? And are they incremental cost over years, or do they remain flat for a period of time? So somebody stays here for 4 years, do they get the same rent, or do they get an increment over 2 years? Are we at a fair market, or are we below the rate in New Paltz?
All great questions, Ron. We are actually at the top of the SUNY scale for double room occupancy room. It's a factor of living in a rural yet very expensive area for construction. We typically pay construction costs that are on par with downstate, with the city and Long Island rather than what they enjoy in the middle of the state. So so to answer that question, we are above market rate when the market that you're comparing to is SUNY. In addition, our students do pay a different room rate every year. For the past 10 years, we've consecutively been increasing 3 to 4%, but there have been a couple of years where we have increased 6% to keep up with the costs of the bonding. Pre-pandemic, we were enjoying some nice lower construction costs.
I need to go.
You want to put it in perspective, the renovation for Ashokan Hall was the first of the Peregrine Halls to be renovated. That complete renovation was $12 million. When we did Bevier just 6 short years later, I believe the costs were in the upper 20s. And now it's hard to compare the Mohawk because Mohawk has an additional floor, but that was 49. So you can see that in order to pay for these renovations, and they're all paid for by student rents. It's not paid for by any state support or anything of that nature. It's all student future rents. We've had to increase those rates pretty substantially.
So basically our rent cost is determined by construction costs.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's an operating factor too. So when you think of a $30 million budget, that's how much we bring in every year. The operating costs for Scott Shop, for UPD, and for the Res Life staff are about $10 million, and they've been pretty consistent for the last decade or so. I mean, they only go up by the factor of the salary increases, but the bonding and the DASNY fees that we pay have been going up a lot faster.
Are utilities considered as part of the construction cost, or
Not as part of the construction, but part of the operating. So it's buried in that $10 million figure.
So the fact that there's a lower utility cost is a savings to us and still the rent won't go down or go up?
Mostly, yeah, it's not that big. It's not a huge part of that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Michelle, what are we gonna do? Have to raise enrollment, retention, bring them in and keep them in. And that's always the name of the game, and hopefully keep the standards. So if the students still do very well, exactly, then if the students still do very well, like letting in a couple hundred more, that's the sustainability. That, it's just hope. So there's a plan and action plan. And I think the headwinds are at us, and there's not going to be any manna from heaven. It's not going to come from the federal government. It's not going to come from the state. I've seen it. I think it was about 2008. There was a hurricane came through, and it's the institution, when you hear from Scott, the building, how things are improving, that it gets people here. The reputation institution still continues to rise. So I think there's a way out, a way forward, but it's not going to be easy, and it takes everybody on the team pulling, and sometimes it isn't perfect, but it's good, and good is still effective, and so that's what you have to do when things get a little bit bumpy. Is hang on, work hard, dig in, and hard work gets rewarded. If you don't work hard, I can guarantee you will not succeed. So for all the hard work you do, and Michelle, you're going to be back last time in November, huh?
Sure.
Okay, and you're going to keep us on the straight and narrow, and you're going to just play your shell game and move things and give people the bad news.
Right.
They have to increase. The expenses are going to come at us, so how do we meet them? We have to increase enrollment, et cetera. So thank you very much for the report. I wish it was a little rosier, but we have our responsibilities. And so thank you. Any old business? Any new business? Our next meeting is November 20th, 2025. I'm to tell you to enjoy the autumn weeks. I'm going to tell you to enjoy the last few days of summer first. And it's a beautiful time of the year. Everything looks great. Things are going to be fine. And thank you all for coming. And thank you all for doing such a wonderful job.
And for those of
motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
see you all, hopefully see some of you in October
Thank
too.
you again.
Thank you.